Thanks, David. Yeah, I just want to encourage you today. I am a person who finished grade 8 and didn't get any more education. I chose a life of drugs and alcohol instead of education and purpose. I met Sandy in a bar, got her pregnant not long after, married her because I thought it was the right thing I should do.
And it was.
And apparently it's worked out. And I'm just giving you the real cliff notes because I have something I want to say to you, but that I believe the Lord wants to say, actually, more importantly. I remember the day our marriage, was a mess. I left town to go take a job 2 provinces over in Saskatchewan. We lived on the coast at the time. And Sandy was kind of done with my addiction and done with me and done with the marriage and didn't really voice that, but we both felt it. And I'm not going to tell you the whole story, but I'm going to tell you this. 1,000 kilometers apart, on the same morning, within the same half hour, we gave our hearts to Jesus. We had encounters with Jesus separate. And I remember when I had to call her because she had no basis of church at all except for my bitterness and anger towards it. And she said, I told her, hey, I don't know how to explain this to you, but I've given my heart and life over to Jesus, and I think it's going to change everything for us. And she starts crying, and I just said, why are you crying? Because she was not a crier at that time. Now she'll cry at a drop of a dime. She's so sensitive to the Holy Spirit. She's just like right there. But back in those days, she was one tough cookie. She was raised by 3 different stepfathers who all abused her in different ways. Her mom was involved in biker clubs and all kinds of. When I met her and I went to her house for the first time, there was like a string of Harleys all across the front. That wasn't intimidating at all. So I just said to her, what I said, and she starts crying, and I says, what are you crying? She says, I gave my heart to Jesus this morning. It wasn't, I'd like to tell you it was all easy from there. It wasn't. But we had started this life. We get back together. We ended up actually moving back to BC in a very long story. I don't want to share that part of right now. I mean, I'm transparent about it, but it's just not to what I want to say. So I've always been entrepreneurial and always been able to sell and gift of gab, all that kind of stuff, but I had no experience in ministry. And I remember Sandy and I were going to a church in Penticton, and there was an altar call, and we went and responded to that altar call, probably for the first time, a sense of calling on my life, that I was supposed to do something for God with my life, and that he saved me for a reason. And he didn't just save me spiritually, he literally saved me from overdoses and other ways. And he literally saved our lives and brought us together. And so I responded, and I remember God telling me, I have a calling on your family's life, and I want you to follow me. And I said, God, as soon as I have $1 million cash in the bank, I'll do whatever you want me to do. We had by this time we owned a couple businesses, and we were very active. And I was always entrepreneurial, and I was trying to make a go of it. But, everything was a house of cards. It was all borrowed for this and that, and building the slow way, kind of building the bridge as we crossed it. And I just remember saying that, and I remember the Lord responding so graciously, how about I take it all away from you and you follow me anyway? Within 18 months, we lost everything. Everything. And I remember sitting in a hotel room that was donated to us by somebody I had done business with, because we had our house taken, we had our business taken, both businesses. We had our car taken. In fact, our car was towed while we were in church on a Sunday night. That wasn't humiliating at all. And God did that for us. Yes, he did that for us because he had so much greater in store. We couldn't see it. I grew up in a pastor's home, as David said, but it was always in an era when if your family wasn't in line, then you're not worthy of the call. And my dad was very strict and very, very angry. And I remember, and very poor. In that era, they believed if you kept the preacher poor, then he'd be faithful. And I just remember telling God, no, as soon as I have $1 million in the bank, because all I could think of is if I respond to this call, we're going to be broke the rest of our lives. And I didn't want that. But anyway, long story short, we ended up moving to Salmon Arm because I was offered a position at this company in Salmon Arm. And I remember God within 2 weeks of being now before then, Sandy and I had been foster parents. We always had this sense of, I don't know, our door was always open. I don't know how that worked exactly. We didn't even really feel like God was asking us to do it. It just, on hindsight, we can see he was in it. But so I remember this guy comes up to me, one of the parents of the teens, and they said, I'm here on behalf of the teenagers, and they've asked you if they would be their youth leader. And I said, what? I said, no. Are you nuts? Like, I'll corrupt them all. Like, you don't want me as the leader. But I had this, and he said something profound that was a prophetic arrow. He says, Mark, they know you love them. He didn't say they love me. He said, they know you love them. And it was a prophetic arrow in our heart. And we started just serving. And we saw 10% of the youth population come to Christ in our town, in our city. We saw miracles. We saw young people trusting God that had come from such brokenness and such hurt and pain. And God did a marvelous and wonderful things. And from that marked us. Never been to Bible school, never been to anything. And here's the message I felt the Lord wanted to say to you today. It's not your qualifications, it's his qualifications that matter. You don't have to be a leader of a church to be a leader in the community, to be a leader in the kingdom. And I don't know who that's for today, but I just felt like our journey has been one of just following the Lord in obedience to where he says to go and to do what he says to do. That's really it. It's not spectacular. Sorry to disappoint. Have we had spectacular stories that I could tell you all day long of the goodness of God? But it wasn't the spectacular that made the difference. It was sitting with somebody and crying in their tears, sitting in their tears with them, and just allowing the love of Jesus. I don't have enough love in me to offer anybody. But I have Jesus living in me. He's got an infinite amount of love to share. And what I've learned over the years is that it's not my job to save anybody. It's not my job to heal anybody in that sense. It's my job to listen and obey to the Lord and allow his life to manifest from my life and through my life. And that is the story of our journey. And so now we pastored the bridge, this building, for 17 years. And coming out of COVID, God said, I've got more for you to do in the community. And so now I'm doing workshops at Caris and now Canada, Next Step Ministries. I have I'm doing coaching and not counseling because I could get in trouble for that. Remember, I've got a grade 8 education, so I don't have any degrees or anything, but I do coaching or pastoral counseling, I guess it is. But anyway, a third of my clients are all people who have come out of addiction, come out of abuse, come out of some kind of struggle, and they're on assistance, they're on disability, they don't have money to pay for it. And the system has left them behind. They've fallen through the cracks of the system. But I've always believed that it's actually the church that should be the answer to our community. The church should be the greatest community resource there is. I really believe that. And when I say the church, I don't mean this building, I don't mean the organization, I mean the people of God. We are called to be the greatest resource that this city has ever seen. And that's what we do. We just do our little part. Nobody knows. Like, what I love about what I'm doing now is it's invisible. I'm just going about the Father's business. And I'm not even comfortable with this, like, to be honest. I mean, I love preaching and sharing, but I'm just saying it's not about what Mark does in this community. It's about what Jesus is doing through Mark in this community and through you in this community, through you in this community, through each one of you. in this community, and that's what's going to make a difference in Kelowna, I believe. I believe that I felt like God told me, shake off everything that's holding you back and just be free to do what I ask you to do on any given day. And that's what I get to do now. And the Lord's been good. I don't know. That's about all I have. Jesus is the one that qualifies you, not your credentials, not your position. Jesus. That's who, just, Lord, what are you saying? I want to do what you're saying to do. And I think from that, you're going to see Jesus do amazing things through you. You don't have to be at a certain place of maturity. My goodness, when I started ministry, I had no clue. I remember even telling the pastor when he's telling me, like, approving me to work with the youth, I said, you realize I can't quote one scripture, maybe John 3:16 is about it. Like, I don't know the Bible. And I remember telling the youth, hey, young people, I'm going to probably learn more from you than you are going to be from me. And I don't know this, but why don't we go on this journey together? And I tell you, every time I needed, God just opened up the word to me, and when I needed it the most, or when somebody else did. Listen, it's not about qualifications. It's not about training. It's about willingness. So I encourage you with that. Be willing. I believe that we are positioned better than ever in this world. That one song Zach sang, the darkness is, I can't remember the lyrics, but the darkness is everywhere, but God is brighter. His light's coming. His light is flowing. There's so many good things happening that we don't see because we're just get busy with life. And I just want to encourage you, slow down and listen, and just obey wherever he's got you placed. Wherever you find yourself on any given day, there's ministry opportunities all around you.